All right, this is like take number 82. So I read the book Ohio by Stephen Markley. So this is a literary fiction novel. It's about a small town in Appalachia, set in Ohio, of course. And the first thing that stood out to me in this book, actually, it kind of reminded me of Stephen King, or at least old Stephen King. I haven't read much of his newer stuff. And it's not necessarily horror. I mean, definitely this book has some very disturbing elements in it. But the main thing that stood out to me was the stream of consciousness storytelling. And that is, it's not very plot driven at all. Okay, it's not very clear and straightforward where things are going, right? It kind of throws you into the story. The characters are just ambling about, and you don't really have a clear idea of what's going on or where they're headed. And there's so many just flashbacks, right? It's all these different characters. They're older, they're in their late 20s, and they're all converging back on their hometown where they grew up. And they'll just start having all these flashbacks back to when they were in high school, back to when they were growing up, and it's all these rich backstories of these very deep, fleshed out characters that are very, very, very flawed. There's all these like betrayals, all these backstabbings, and they're all very clearly defined and not very likable, and all of that, and the story proceeds in that way. It's very stream of consciousness, very in and out of those flashbacks, and then it kind of jumps from perspectives, so between these four different perspectives, right? And it's these four giant chunks of story. So it's very slow and plotting in that sense, but just the atmosphere, the characters, and the overall just feeling of the story, and also there's a kind of mystery, just this wonder about what's going on and how everything comes together, because everything does come together at the end. That just pulled me through. I can tell just by looking at the reviews online, it was very controversial apparently, or fairly polarizing. But the way everything came together, I really, really enjoyed this book. So I strongly encourage people to check it out if you're into those slower paced stories. I would say this is a 9 out of 10.